All right. Sorry. Sorry about that little delay there, but all right. This is Kim Baker with the Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry coming to you on this Tuesday evening. We are on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, and so tonight we're going to be starting our study and discussion of fear. Okay. So I'm hoping that this is reaching all the different platforms. We'll see how this goes. Okay. But anyway, glad to be here with you tonight. And if you're tuning in on one of the Facebook pages, if you would please hit one of the buttons, leave a comment. Okay. On YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, VSC Ministry. Okay. See, hit the bell. I'm trying to remember everything about YouTube, how you do that. But anyway, tonight we're going to be starting fear. This will be about 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. Just give or take. Not really sure about how long it will take. Okay. But the different Facebook pages that you can find us on is Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry page, Tackling the Tough Stuff page, Amet Hatara Odessa Facebook page, or the VSC Ministry Support Group, and then also the VSC Ministry Men's Group. Okay. And of course, on YouTube, it's just VSC Ministry. Okay. All right. Let's get started in tonight talking about fear. Okay. We'll be talking about fear tonight. Okay. But what is fear? Okay. Here's one of my little, I guess, sayings, but fear is a lot of times false evidence appearing real. Okay. A lot of times fear is false evidence appearing real. Okay. And this will make a little bit more sense as we get more into the study for you. Okay. But just keep that in mind. Okay. Keep that in the back of your mind. All right. So Just imagine, okay, being terrorized. Your life is threatened. Here's your heart is gripped, just gripped with fear. And imagine every single day waking up to the thought, okay, thinking, man, this could be my last day. This could be the last day for my family and for my friends. Don't know. That would be kind of fearful, wouldn't it? So imagine living in constant fear of being burglarized, being brutalized, vandalized, and victimized, mauled, and murdered. Right? What are we talking about, or who are we talking about? Okay, fixing to get to that. Okay, now suddenly someone appears completely out of the blue, trying to get you to do something that is totally unthinkable. They want you to take action and to fight those who you fear. What would be your reaction to that scenario? Most of us would be, nah, I'll pass. Nah. Okay. But such an idea seems so impossible. It even seems preposterous. Okay. Especially for Gideon and the Israelites. Yes, we're talking about Gideon from the Bible. Okay. Um, the Midianites have been attacking the Israelites and fighting them, and they've been threatening Gideon. And so here's Gideon that, like, well, you know, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You know, he's scared. He's fearful. He has anxiety. You know, and and he may want to act like Jonah and try to flee the situation. You know, I don't want to do this. Okay, so but what happens? Okay, in Job chapter 4, verse 15, here's Job. Fear and trembling seized me and made all my bones shake. Okay. Now, a lot of us that have been victims of abuse especially as a child, with childhood abuse, whether it might be sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical. It could also even be spiritual abuse. Okay. A lot of us, we may have not said these exact words, but a lot of us has felt this way. We have felt fear. We felt fearful. We trembled. Our bones shook at the thought of what we had been through. Okay. But here's Gideon, you know, and Gideon is, you know, at first he does not want to stand up to the Midianites. Okay. Let's move on here and let's see. Okay. But anyway, if we're going to get more, we'll be talking more about Gideon as we go along, because almost every one of our studies like this that we do, a lot of them has a backstory, okay, that they incorporate into the study. And this fear is about Gideon, okay? So if you're familiar with the story of Gideon, okay, he goes on and finally he gets to the point where he says, you know, hey, you need somebody to lead the Israelites. I will be the one that do it. Okay. He steps up. But he keeps on bargaining with God. No, God, I need this many men. And God says, no, you don't. You need this many men. And Jesus, no, I need this many. No, this many. Okay. But so what happens is God keeps trimming down the number of men that he is going to allow Gideon to go to war with. And they are completely outnumbered. There is no way in the natural realm Gideon and the Israelites should have been able to win against the Midianites. They were totally outnumbered. But very good example for us to keep in mind when we're facing our battles, when we're facing our giants, is this. When God is on our side, it doesn't matter how big the giant is across the way. Okay? So let's go ahead and get back into the study. Okay? So if I walk up and I just said, hey, explain to me what fear is. How do you see fear? How do you view fear? Okay. So what is fear? Okay. Fear is a very, very, very strong emotion or emotional reaction. Okay. Very important right there. Okay. It is an emotional reaction a lot of times to a perceived imminent danger. Okay. And here is where we get the term fight or flight. Okay. Either we stand up and fight, or we turn and we run. Okay. Or we freeze. We just stop in our tracks. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. Okay. But fear can be real or it can be imagined. It can be rational or it can be irrational. Okay. Fear can be normal or it can be abnormal. Okay. here's one aspect of fear that we need to try to understand is this, is that fear is a protective reaction that is placed in us by God Almighty. Do what? God gave us fear? No. God does not give us fear. He gives us the reaction to the fear. Okay? Now, does that mean that he gives us the reaction of hovering down, covering ourselves, hiding? No, I don't think so. Okay? Well, then, Kim, I don't understand. If he gave us this reaction, that's a reaction. Yeah, it is a reaction. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. I just saw some. If you happen to be out there and you've clicked on the comments or you saw them, I am very sorry for what was just showed up. I just don't understand people. But I want to apologize if you got offended by it. I'm really sorry. I've got to figure out a way to stop that. But let's get back to the study, okay? All right. Here is what I'm talking about. And here's an example, okay? And I'm going to use myself as an example of this, okay? A few years ago, I was working in the oil field, and I had to go check some equipment out in the field. Well, it was grown up, weeds were probably knee high or so. And I started walking out to the equipment, and I know that I heard a rattlesnake. Okay. Never saw it. But I know I heard it. Okay. When I heard it, I stopped, looked all around, and then I started backing out, trying to step in the same tracks that I'd stepped in coming in case I'd stepped over it or something, to try not to step on it. And I walk out and get back in my truck, and I leave. Okay. I left. Okay. I didn't check the equipment. Not that day. I come back the next day. But here's the thing, and this is what I'm talking about. Okay. So one of my fears growing up was fear of snakes. Okay. So when I say that God gave us this protective reaction, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. Because I believe wholeheartedly that God allowed me to hear that rattlesnake and to exit the area without being bit. Okay. Now, I was pretty close to having a heart attack time I got back to my truck. My heart was beating so fast. But okay, so there, yes, I do believe that God has given us this emotion or this reaction to this emotion of fear to try to keep us from harm's way. Okay. Again, I don't know if there was one there 100%. I believe there was. Okay. But I never physically saw it. So there we are. Don't know. Okay. So a lot of times we may have a reaction or we may have, it may cause us to stop and think about something that just took place and to analyze what went on. And I do believe wholeheartedly that that is God's way of protecting us. Okay. Okay. So, why do we get the way that we get when fear strikes? Okay. And we're going to be looking at physical symptoms, spiritual symptoms, emotional symptoms, and stuff later down the road. Okay. But here's the with fear, when fear takes over and when it starts, for better or worse terms, start to consume us, our body releases adrenaline. Okay. That's what causes our heartbeat to start racing, to get elevated. Okay. Why? Because it is our body's natural ability to produce adrenaline to help us with the process of preparing us and to propel us either to action, to fight, or to flight, or to have flight, or to take flight. Okay. To run, to get out of it. Okay. That's the reason why our bodies get the way it does. Okay. It is a protective mechanism that our body is trying to protect us in itself. Okay. So fear is natural. Okay. But being fearfulness is not. It's not designed by God for us to live God did not design us to live a fearful life. Okay? Because living in fearfulness, all that does is suggest that we're living in a constant state of fear. Okay? God does not want us living in a constant state of fear. By no means at all. Okay? All right. So back to Gideon. So Gideon takes 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had said unto him. Okay, so here it is. I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. If I'm not mistaken, I think Gideon started out with like 40,000 men. Okay, and God trimmed it down, and let's look at what God told him. Okay, then Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord said unto him. In Judges chapter 6, verse 27. Okay, so God tells him, take these 10 men and go to this well. It was an open like cistern, and the men that bent down and drank without looking up are the men that I want you to take to war. Okay, it really is an amazing story. But anyway, throughout the Bible, we're told what? Not to fear people. We're told not to fear circumstances. But on the other hand, we're told to fear God, to have the fear of the Lord. Okay? So how can I love and trust a God that I am told to fear? That don't make sense, does it? No, it doesn't make sense at all. Okay? So we have to break it down and understand exactly what the Bible, what the Word is talking about. Okay? So the essence of the biblical phrase, the fear of the Lord, actually means to have a reverential awe for God. It is basically a deep seated respect for God based on your acknowledgement of Him, of His sovereignty, and His majesty. Okay? So when we read scriptures or we hear fear of the Lord, okay, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about an awe, a deep seated respect. Okay. Now, we ought to be mindful, that God oversees all creation. No one can stop what God proposes. Okay. What God has set in action, nobody can stop it. Okay. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 28 and 29. Okay, so what is anxiety? How would you describe anxiety? Anxiety is the psychological and psychiatric. Uh, it, back up. I mess this up every single time. I'm sorry. In the psychological and psychiatric world is the umbrella word covering multiple degrees of worry and fear. Okay? Doesn't matter if it ranges from mild or to extreme. Okay? Now, how extreme can it get? Pretty extreme. Okay? 16. Ooh. I guess it's been 6 years now. 6 years ago, I was doing this study at a church here in Odessa. And there's a young man, there's a man there that was attending the classes. And we were talking, we got to the topic of fear, and we were going through this study. And he shared that he had a friend that had gotten so fearful. He had so much fear built up in his life and so much anxiety that for at that time, the last 15 years, this guy had not gotten out of his bedroom. He has not left his bedroom. He had not been out of his bedroom, out of his house in 15 years because of fear and anxiety. Okay? So don't believe it's not real. It is real. Okay? Anxiety can start out as an uneasiness, or it can start out in distress. Okay? Over a threat or something unknown. And it is characterized by extreme worry or brooding fear. Okay? Anxiety stems from uncertainty. A lot of times it is just us hoping that something will happen, okay? But we have no guarantee that it will happen. Or it may go to the other direction, okay? Where we fear something will happen, but we have no control over whether it will or not. Okay. Anxiety can lead to catastrophic thinking, just like the man that I talked about a while ago. Okay. Where we overestimate everything. whether we're in danger or whether, a negative outcome is going to take place. Catastrophic thinking. Okay. After the heavenly messenger delivers his initial instructions, here's old Gideon. What's he do? He questions. Here's Gideon. If the Lord is really with us, why has all this evil happened? Okay. That's probably a legitimate question. Don't you think? Okay. Just because you ask a question like this, does that mean that you're questioning God's ability to help us through any given situation? I don't think so. I don't think it necessarily means that. Could it mean that? Yeah. Okay. So here's Gideon. Okay. He asks this question. And then he makes it clear. Okay. He makes it clear to God, to himself, and to anyone else that is listening. If God wants a deliverer for the Israelite people, I am the man for the job. Now, does that sound like a man that is consumed with fear? He seemed to be at one time. But according to this, I would say no. Huh? Because after all, here Gideon, he is the least in the family. He claims to be the weakest person in the tribe of Manasseh. Okay? Manasseh is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. It is one of the smallest. It is the smallest tribe of Israel. But here's Gideon. I'm the weakest, but I will be the deliverer. And here he is attempting to rationalize his anxiety that he's had. And what's Gideon do? He exclaims. He proclaims. And he said unto him, who's he talking to? Talking to the Lord. Oh, my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? I'll get it out in a minute. Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh. What does going to war, being a leader, leading your people, what does that have to do with being poor or rich? He's throwing out every excuse he can. And he goes on, I'm the least in my father's house. King David, shepherd boy, the runt of the family. Who did God use? The runt, the so-called runt of the family is who God used. So be very careful proclaiming that you're the runt of the family, you're the least of the family, you're the weakest, if you don't want to be used by God. Because that's who he's going to call on a lot of times. Okay? That is in Judges chapter 6, verse 15. Okay? So, do you think you could name an anxiety disorder? First one is phobias. A phobia. Next is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay? Panic disorders, acute stress disorder, and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders. Okay? Then we have generalized anxiety disorders, medical condition. Okay? Your anxiety could be caused from a medical condition. It could also be substance induced anxiety. Okay? So when they found themselves in captivity, the Israelites had, again, we're talking about Gideon and the Israelites, the Israelites had an anxious mind, eyes weary with longing, and a despairing heart. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 65. Does that sound like people ready to go to war? No, it don't, does it? Okay? Okay. So we talked about the disorders a while ago. We just listed the disorders. Do you think that you have dealt with one of these disorders in the past, or do you currently deal with one of these? Okay. And we want you to think about it and answer, to yourself. Excuse me. Yes or no? Which one? And why do you think that you've dealt with that? What do you think caused it? What do you think started it? Okay. Can you tell me the difference between fear and worry? Worry is mentally dwelling on a possible undesired happening in the future. Okay. Worry is distracting. It can lead to distress and depression. And worry is unproductive. Okay. Worry is unproductive. Why? Because it is concerning something unknown in the future. Worry deals with future. Okay. Where fear, on the other hand, again, we've talked about, it's a strong, very strong emotional reaction. And yes, we talked about it can be real, it can be imagined, okay? But a lot of times, our fear or our emotional reaction is due to a perceived imminent danger. We perceive, okay? Call on me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you will honor me. Psalms chapter 50, verse 15. Okay? We'll go ahead and get into this. So, what is a panic attack? Okay. Now, we probably won't finish this section tonight, but panic attacks are sudden and usually brief episodes of very intense fear, but it comes along with multiple physical symptoms. Okay. Heart palpitations. Okay. Heart beating really fast or skipping a beat. Okay. Dizziness, but without any external threat. Panic attacks are typically unexpected, out of the blue experience. A lot of times where you're involved in just normal daily activities. And all of a sudden, bang. Suddenly, a barrage of frightening sensations strikes you. They usually last a few seconds to a few minutes. Okay. Terror startled him on every side and dogged his every step. Job chapter 18, verse 11. That's a good looking puppy, isn't it? Oh. I am no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Okay. Do you still, if you did suffer from panic attacks, do you still suffer from them? Okay. This is a yes or no. Can we do anything to stop a panic attack. Okay. I do have a couple announcements I need to make. So we're going to stop right here tonight. This is a good, very good stopping point at a question. Okay. So again, if you join us tonight on Facebook, if you haven't, before you get off Facebook, would you please hit one of the buttons? Okay. Leave us a comment. And on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. Okay. Give us a thumbs up. Also on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, tuning in on there tonight. Okay. We really appreciate you tuning in. And again, I want to say I'm very sorry if you saw the comments that was posted up here. I don't know how to stop them completely. All I know to do is ban people when they do stuff like that. So again, please accept my heartfelt apology that I'm really sorry that it happened. Okay. But anyway, down at the bottom of the screen where it's scrolling across the bottom where it says vscministry.com, that is our website. Okay. I updated it today with the new classes. Go to our website, check it out. Okay. While you're there, you can download this material, Fear, or you can download any of the other 8 classes that we offer here at VSC Ministry. Okay. Where it says book now, if you would like for me to come speak at an organization, your church, I do have a book now button on my Facebook page at Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry. Okay. While you're at our website, we do have a secure PayPal button for donations. We are a nonprofit ministry, and I do depend upon donations to help me keep this ministry going. Okay. If you can give, I know holidays are coming up. I know that, this year with the inflation, I know everybody's having a hard time, but, if you get a couple extra bucks and you think, that's not going to buy me a whole lot, we'd appreciate it if you would keep us in mind in the future. Okay. Now, Thursday night, if you are close, if you are in the Midland, Odessa, Texas area, okay, we do have a support group that meets on Thursday nights. Now, we will not meet this Thursday night due to Thanksgiving. Okay. But the following week, December the 1st, we will be back at Amet HaTorah at 3319 North Golder Avenue in Odessa. Okay. We start at 7 o'clock. We have plenty of seating available to spread out, so you don't have to, be right on top of each other. And we have some really good discussions there. It is open forum, questions, comments. We'd love to hear those. Okay. Okay. I hope everything worked good on the Facebook pages and everything. I will check them out. And if I need to make some adjustments, then I'll be looking at making those adjustments. But we'll be back here next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock with the second week of fear. God bless and have a great rest of your week.